So the bottle of bleach sitting under your kitchen sink right now, it is currently at the center of a $500 million digital war.
Right. Which sounds completely absurd.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like global supply chain chaos, the looming threat of AI deepfakes. It sounds like the plot of a corporate espionage thriller or something.
Yeah, but honestly, it is just the daily reality of operating a modern consumer goods company.
Exactly. And welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we were looking under the hood of a century-old enterprise, the Clorox Company.
A classic.
Yeah, and we've actually got our hands on their official Form 10K annual report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025.
Which is hot off the presses, basically.
Right. And our mission today is to unpack how this seemingly traditional, almost boring manufacturer of household staples, actually survives and maneuvers in the 21st century.
Because when you strip away the branding, and really look at a 10K, you are examining the central nervous system of a global entity.
Yeah, it lays everything bare.
It does. It documents their operational strategy, their most existential vulnerabilities, and honestly, the aggressive financial engineering they use to protect their profit margin.
And for you listening, whether you are analyzing markets, running your own business, or you just, want to know how the world actually works behind the scenes, peeling back the layers of a $7.1 billion giant provides just a phenomenal case study in modern corporate survival.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the sheer scale of this operation, because Clorox is far more than just, the blue and white jug in your laundry room.
Oh, yeah. The portfolio is engineered to cover almost every single room in a consumer's house.
The list is staggering. I mean, we were talking about Pine Sol, Liquid Plumber, Glad trash bags, Fresh Step cat litter, Kings for charcoal.
All heavy hitters.
Right. And they also own Brita water filters, Burt's Bees lip balm, and this is the one that always catches people off guard, Hidden Valley Ranch.
That is always the wild card. People do not expect the bleach company to make their salad dressing.
No, they don't. But here's the crazy stat. Over 80% of their total sales come from brands holding the #1 or #2 market share position in their respective categories.
And see, that 80% metric isn't just a vanity stat for their marketing brochures.
Right.
It is actually a fundamental defensive mechanism. Because in the consumer packaged goods industry, the balance of power heavily favors the retailer, not the manufacturer.
Because shelf space is finite.
Exactly. Shelf space is finite.
So I want to look at the Walmart factor here, because the power dynamic you were talking about is laid completely bare in this report. Walmart alone, just Walmart, accounts for 27% of Clorox's consolidated net sales.
It's massive.
It is, just one retailer. And if you throw in their other top 4 customers, nearly half of all their global sales rely on just 5 companies.
Which is a terrifying concentration of risk if you really think about it.
Right. Let me challenge the safety of this business model for a second.
Yeah.
If I operate a freelance consulting business and one mega client pays 1/3 of my income,
You're terrified every single day.
I am terrified. Because if they decide to negotiate my rates down, I can't pay my mortgage. So how does a massive corporation function with that level of client dependency?
Well, they function under constant pressure, honestly. Yeah. The rise of sophisticated e-commerce logistics and, the increasing quality of store brand products, it puts immense leverage in the hands of the retailer.
Right, like the Target brands or the Walmart brands.
Exactly. Walmart, Target, Costco, they are continuously looking to squeeze margins out of their suppliers. They can demand higher trade discounts, punitive logistics fees, or, and this is the big one, they can simply swap out a branded product for their own private label.
So if Walmart decides, hey, we want to give 3 more feet of prime aisle space to our great value brand trash bags, and they take that space away from, Glad Clorox takes an immediate financial hit.
Immediate. And the only viable countermeasure Clorox has is to ensure their brands are utterly indispensable to the consumer.
Meaning people will complain if it's not there.
Right. If a shopper walks into a store specifically looking for Hidden Valley Ranch or Burt's Bees, and the retailer doesn't carry it, that shopper might literally drive to a competing grocery store.
And retailers hate that.
They track foot traffic relentlessly. So Clorox invests heavily in maintaining that #1 or #2 market position specifically so that retailers cannot afford to delist them.
Okay, so if Walmart holds all the cards and one slip up means your shelf space goes to a generic store brand, Clorox can't afford to be distracted by side projects.
No, they have to run a flawless core operation.
And I guess that logic explains the brutal corporate diet they went on over the last 2 years under their new Ignite strategy.
Yeah, Ignite is their structural blueprint for modernization, and we saw some sweeping divestitures executed under this framework during the 2024 and 2025 fiscal years.
And let's be real, evolving a portfolio is usually just polite corporate speak for abandoning ships that are taking on water.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like in March 2024, they dumped their Argentina business. Then in September 2024, they sold off their Better Health vitamins, minerals, and supplements business, which includes brands like Natural Vitality and Renew Life.
Right.
But on the flip side, by January 2026, they are buying out Procter & Gamble's 20% stake in the Glad Bags joint venture.
And this sequence of moves, it is a pristine example of a company ruthlessly identifying its core competencies.
Okay, but I need to push back on the logic of dumping the vitamin business.
Okay.
The global health and wellness sector is exploding right now. Consumers are obsessed with longevity, daily supplements, gut health, all of it. Why on earth would a company walk away from a booming wellness trend but double down on, like, charcoal briquettes and cat litter?
It's a fair question, but participating in a booming market only makes sense if your company possesses the specific physical and logistical muscles required to actually win in it.
What do you mean by physical muscles?
Think about the fundamental mechanism of how Clorox moves products. Their entire supply chain is optimized for shipping incredibly heavy, bulky pallets of bleach, liquids, and charcoal on massive freight trains to huge big box distribution center.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see where this is going.
Right. The vitamin and supplement market operates in a completely different physical reality.
It's all tiny bottles.
Exactly. You are dealing with tiny, lightweight bottles that often have strict expiration dates. The market is highly fragmented, it's driven by fleeting influencer trends, and it relies heavily on direct-to-consumer e-commerce or, boutique health store distribution.
Which is not Walmart.
No. The logistical muscles required to move a train car full of cat litter are completely useless for selling a bottle of probiotics online.
So the infrastructure just didn't match the product at all.
Not only did it not match, it added unnecessary complexity to their operation.
Right, it was a distraction.
Exactly. And then if you look at buying out Procter & Gamble's 20% stake in Glad, that is the exact opposite scenario.
Because they already know how to move trash bags.
Intimately. Clorox understands the physical manufacturing and distribution of trash bags inside and out. By taking full ownership, they capture 100% of the profits from a steady, high-margin brand and eliminate the internal friction of a joint venture.
They structurally improve their operating margins by cutting out the distractions.
Precisely.
Okay, so focusing exclusively on moving those heavy pallets makes sense on paper. But, by stripping away the side projects, their entire global revenue is now hyper-concentrated on those core physical goods.
Yes.
If they can't actually transport those specific trash bags or that specific bleach, the company stops breathing entirely.
Right. The operational heartbeat has to be bulletproof.
And that brings us to the $580 million digital central nervous system they're trying to install right now, just to keep that heartbeat going.
Yeah. The transition to a new enterprise resource planning, or ERP, system, it is currently their most critical internal endeavor, and the stakes are absolutely monumental.
To give you listening some context here, in August of 2023, Clorox suffered a severe cyber attack that completely crippled their supply chain.
It was devastating.
It was. And looking at the 2025 10K, they have fully recovered now, and they even logged a $70 million insurance payout this fiscal year for it.
Huh.
But they didn't just, patch the firewall.
No, they didn't.
They are in the middle of a $570 to $580 million cloud-based ERP overhaul. The Canadian rollout is done, and the U.S. rollout begins in fiscal 2026.
And upgrading an ERP for a global manufacturer is an incredibly perilous undertaking.
Yeah, I hear people compare tech upgrades to, like, a software update on a smartphone. But that doesn't capture the risk here at all, does it?
Not even close. Legacy IT systems cannot handle the speed of modern automated commerce, and they certainly cannot defend against the sophistication of modern criminal syndicates.
Right. Transitioning an ERP for a company this size, it's like trying to replace the concrete foundation of your house, the internal plumbing, and the electrical wiring while you are still living inside it and hosting a dinner party.
That is a perfect analogy.
Because the ERP is the software that tells the warehouse to load the truck, it tells the truck where to drive, and it tells the factory to mix more bleach, because a store in Peoria just sold 3 bottles.
Exactly. Every single digital wire you disconnect risks stopping the physical flow of goods to Walmart.
And Walmart does not like that.
No, they are not. And the industry is acutely aware of that exact risk. There is a deeply revealing detail buried in the 10K regarding how the wider retail ecosystem views this software transition.
Oh yeah, the hoarding. So if you went to the grocery store in mid-2025 and noticed an unusual mountain of Hidden Valley Ranch or Clorox wipes at the end of the aisle, that wasn't just a random summer promotion.
No, not at all.
The report literally notes that in the fourth quarter, retailers intentionally ordered products well in advance to build up their own inventory buffers before the U.S. ERP transition even started.
Right. Major retailers essentially told Clorox, we cannot risk empty shelves if your new system hits a glitch and the trucks stop rolling.
So they basically panic bought ranch dressing.
Essentially, yeah. They loaded their own warehouses with extra product ahead of time. It demonstrates a profound fear of supply chain disruption.
But also, I guess, a level of transparency between the manufacturer and the retailer. Like, hey, we're doing open heart surgery, stock up now.
Exactly. They communicated the risk.
Okay, so upgrading the internal plumbing is a monumental task, but it's still something Clorox can theoretically control. What they can't control are the external forces actively trying to break the windows.
The risk factors section.
Yeah, the risk factors section of this 10K outlines a terrifying threat matrix.
And, corporate lawyers are required by the SEC to document every conceivable scenario that could impact the stock price. It always provides us a stark assessment of global fragility.
It really reads like a geopolitical briefing. I mean, they explicitly map out the impact of tensions involving the U.S., China, Taiwan, the Middle East, and Ukraine.
Standard but serious global risks.
Right. And they detail how inflation is driving consumers toward those private label store brands we talked about earlier.
Yep.
They outline incoming environmental regulations surrounding extended producer responsibility and single-use plastics. But, and this is what blew my mind, there is one highly specific, incredibly modern risk they felt compelled to include: AI and deepfakes.
Yeah, and the inclusion of deepfakes for a consumer goods company signals a major shift in how corporate risk is calculated today.
I am going to push back hard on this one, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
I completely understand why a political campaign, a news organization, or like a pharmaceutical company cares about AI-generated videos. But are you telling me consumers are genuinely going to panic, boycott trash bags or lip balm because of a weird video on social media?
Yes.
Does a century-old bleach company actually lose sleep over this, or is it just corporate lawyers padding the report with buzzwords?
Oh, they absolutely lose sleep over it because the nature of brand equity has fundamentally changed. Your brand is no longer defined by a carefully crafted television commercial that you control.
Right.
Your brand is what the algorithmic feed says it is at any given second.
Okay, walk me through how an AI video actually damages a company selling physical cleaning supplies.
Well, consider the speed of modern information. A malicious actor creates a highly realistic AI-generated video showing what appears to be a credible scientist, right? Or maybe a distressed parent claiming that a specific batch of Clorox disinfecting wipes causes severe chemical burns.
Oh, wow.
Or perhaps the video shows a whistleblower claiming a hidden toxic ingredient was found in a batch of Hidden Valley Ranch.
And the algorithm just picks it up because outrage drives engagement.
Exactly. Because of the mechanics of social media, that video could be viewed by 15 million people in 3 hours.
That's horrifying.
It is. The consumer outrage is instantaneous. Retailers, fearing liability and negative PR, might panic and pull the products from their shelves nationwide immediately.
Just to be safe.
Right. The stock price could take a massive hit. And all of this financial devastation occurs before Clorox's public relations team or their actual scientists can even verify that the video is completely synthetic.
So the damage is inflicted before the truth can even get its boots on.
Exactly. It is a terrifying asymmetry of risk. A digital ghost created with a $100 AI tool can erase hundreds of millions of dollars in brand trust in a single afternoon.
And for a company whose entire defense against Walmart relies on consumer demand.
An attack on that trust is an existential threat.
Man. Okay, so when you stack up all these vulnerabilities, recovering from a crippling cyber attack, navigating global conflicts, bracing for deepfakes, and gutting your own IT systems,
Right.
The 2025 balance sheet should theoretically be a bloodbath.
You would think so.
They should be hemorrhaging cash. But the financials tell a completely different story.
They do. The fiscal 2025 results are a testament to the concept of operational leverage. The execution of their strategy becomes glaringly obvious when you look at the numbers.
Let's lay out the scorecard for everyone listening. In fiscal 2025, net sales were essentially flat. They brought in $7.1 billion, which is basically identical to 2024.
Right. Flat revenue.
Flat revenue. Yet their gross margin expanded by 220 basis points to 45.2%. And here's the metric that just defies logic. Their diluted net earnings per share, their EPS skyrocketed by 190% to $6.52.
It's a huge jump.
It is. So what does this all mean? The divergence between top-line revenue remaining stagnant and bottom-line profit exploding requires us to look at the underlying mechanics of their balance sheet, right?
Yes, exactly.
Let's translate this because I am genuinely baffled. Using an analogy, it's like a restaurant serving the exact same number of meals as last year. Not a single new customer walked through the door, but somehow the restaurant's profits nearly tripled.
Right.
How is that mathematically possible without cutting massive corners and serving terrible food?
Well, to continue your restaurant analogy, imagine the owner stopped serving their most complicated, lowest margin dish, fired the inefficient supplier, renegotiated the rent, and then suddenly received a large check in the mail for a fire that damaged the kitchen the year prior.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's map that onto Clorox's actual operations. Let's start with the check in the mail.
Okay, so the first mechanism driving that massive earnings per share spike is what the industry calls lapping effects.
And let me translate lapping effects really quickly. It just means the bar was set artificially low last year because of the cyber attack.
Correct.
They aren't necessarily performing miracles today. They're just comparing today's normal operations to last year's absolute disaster.
Precisely. In 2024, their earnings were severely depressed because the cyber attack halted sales and forced them to spend millions on recovery.
Right.
In 2025, they aren't bleeding that operational cash anymore. Plus, they actually booked that $70 million cyber insurance recovery.
So simply by recovering from a crisis, you see a huge positive swing in the comparative math.
Yes, that's the first part.
Okay, second mechanism, shedding the complicated dishes.
Right, remember the Argentina divestiture we talked about?
Yeah.
In 2024, they absorbed a $240 million loss when they sold off that business. That massive loss dragged down their 2024 earnings per share.
Oh, so by entirely removing that unprofitable, highly volatile international segment, they instantly improved their 2025 baseline.
Exactly. And they also sold the Better Health vitamin business. Even though they took a smaller loss on that sale in 2025, they eliminated a low-margin, high-complexity drag on their future operations.
So the top-line revenue is flat because they literally have fewer businesses generating sales.
Right.
But the businesses they kept are vastly more efficient. What about that gross margin expansion, though? Because 220 basis points just means their profit margin increased by 2.2 percentage points.
Which is huge.
Right. On $7 billion, that is a tremendous amount of extra cash.
And that is where the operational leverage truly shines. While overall revenue was flat, their core volume was actually up 1%.
Okay.
But more importantly, under this new streamlined model, they executed ruthless cost savings. They spent significantly less on selling and administrative expenses.
So it is brilliant financial engineering and operational discipline.
It really is.
When you combine the $70 million insurance payout, the absence of a $240 million international loss, the stabilization of their supply chain post-hack, and aggressive internal cost-cutting, you engineer a scenario where flat sales produce explosive profits.
Exactly. They didn't need to invent a new type of bleach.
Well,
They just needed to be radically smarter about how they operate the business they already own. They are capturing more profit from every single dollar that flows through the enterprise, despite ongoing inflation and elevated manufacturing costs.
wow. We have covered incredible ground today.
We really have.
And for you listening, the overarching takeaway here is that a legacy brand like Clorox is not just coasting on a 100-year-old name.
Not at all.
It is a highly digitized strategic portfolio manager. They are constantly balancing the intense demands of mega clients like Walmart, fending off sophisticated cyber syndicates, and the terrifying potential of AI deepfakes and, executing $500 million technological heart transplants.
All while engineering massive earnings growth out of flat sales.
It's incredible. It really reveals the hidden, intricate machinery required to simply keep household staples available to the public.
It does.
So what is your final thought on this analysis? Something for the listener to take away and chew on.
Yeah, the next time you are walking down the aisle of a grocery store and you casually toss a bottle of Hidden Valley Ranch or a box of Glad trash bags into your car duck, take a moment to realize what you are actually holding.
I love this.
You are not just holding a condiment or a piece of plastic. You are holding the final physical output of a fiercely defended global fortress.
Wow.
It is an object that has navigated geopolitical tensions, survived cyber warfare, dodged AI threat matrices, and endured ruthless margin calculations just to make it to that specific shelf.
That's a great perspective.
It really makes you wonder what other mundane, boring items sitting in your pantry right now are secretly backed by cutting-edge digital defenses and corporate war rooms.
You will genuinely never look at a bottle of bleach the same way again. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the everyday world around you, because there is always a deeper story hidden just beneath the surface. We'll catch you on the next one.